Shador Sanders said that Colorado is everyone's Super Bowl, and while you may not like it, it's true.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. Today is also brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's talk about it. I think it's probably the most controversial yet simplistic quote in football right now, or in college football at the moment. And people could not be more upset about it. If you guys weren't aware, the past couple days was Big 12 Media Days. And so a lot of media members headed on over to Vegas and talked to players and coaches. And one of the marquee, or I would say probably the biggest marquee attractions or people or groups that people wanted to talk to and hear from was in fact the Colorado Buffaloes. They sent Deion Sanders. They sent Shador Sanders. They sent Shilo Sanders. They also sent Mark Vassett, who's probably one of the best punters in college football, but no one cares about punters, unfortunately. Specialists are people too. But back to the topic at hand. So there was a question asked to Deion Sanders about what it was like, basically regarding the pressure. And essentially, what does a win mean for him? And he was like, a win means more for me than it does for you, or it means something different than it does for you. Because he's Deion Sanders, everything he does means more than the average person. Not because he's the almighty or something, but because he's so scrutinized, because he is so watched, because he is so, I guess, entertaining, and everyone wants to see him fail, or everyone wants to see him succeed, depending on what side of the aisle you're on. So they kind of asked Shador a follow-up question. And so he answered, and I'll read you guys a quote. And this is about pressure. It's been there since day one. I remember my first media day when I was in HBCU. I said we won't lose a game. I'm undefeated in the SWAC, so I already know what the expectation comes with. I know we're everybody's Super Bowl, so I always stay level-headed and stay grounded because I would never want to be the guy looking back and not being able to take advantage of the moment that we have right now. And so while I kind of like the fact that he's talking about enjoying the moment, because I do think these days in the NIL era and someone like Shador, who's probably going to be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick at worst, contender for the number 1 pick, I think it's easy to forget, like, hey, this is college football. This will be the most fun football I ever play, and I need to take advantage of this opportunity. But people are upset beyond belief about the Super Bowl comment. And let me just tell you, this is what I think. Colorado is everyone's Super Bowl, but not in the sense that everyone is pretending that they think they are. So if you are a loved one is upset by this comment that Colorado is everyone's Super Bowl, are you upset that Colorado knows how popular they are? Or are you upset off the fake narrative that they think they're a lot better than what they were? Because last year, Colorado went 1-8 in Pac-12 play. They were 4-8 overall, right? Yes, we're all well aware. Everyone likes to bring it up. They lost a lot of games. They blew leads. They lost close games. They got blown out by Oregon, but they were in the mix for a lot of those games, right? Okay, so how could they be everyone's Super Bowl if they're a sub-500 team, hasn't made it to a bowl game? The program itself hasn't had success in, I think, and Steven Montez was there, or Cefalufa. Like, it's been a minute, right? So how could they be their Super Bowl? Well, because all the people that hate them and are like saying this is the dumbest thing ever are the same people that tune in to watch them play against Colorado State, are the same people that tune in to watch them play against Stanford. So let's just be realistic. I think when people think, oh, Colorado thinks they're everyone's Super Bowl, so they think they're really good. No. Like in the SEC, Georgia, Bama, Texas, whoever plays them, that is their Super Bowl, because you are beating a brand. Counting Georgia and Alabama, Texas this past year, but you're beating a brand and you're beating an elite program. Like, those are the top tier programs. Those are the epitome of college football. Colorado's not there. They're not there yet. They possibly could be there down the line sometime if they get the recruiting right, they get the coaching hires right and all that. we'll see this year. But realistically, it's different. It's not the same Super Bowl. And if we're talking about a Super Bowl in college football, first of all, there is no Super Bowl in college football, so everyone relax. Like, we get it. It just means that everyone gets up for Colorado, and he's not wrong. People tuned into Colorado to watch them play all the time. You look at their Colorado versus Colorado State game, was ESPN's fifth most watched audience for a college football game with 9.3 or averaging 9.3 million viewers, right? For their game against Stanford, which was on a Friday evening at like 10 p.m. Eastern or like 11 p.m. Eastern or something like that, 3.3 million viewers, ESPN's best Friday game since 2018. Colorado was consistently drawing in record crowds, right? Even when they were bad, people were watching Colorado. Why? Because Deion Sanders is there, because Shilo Sanders is there, because Travis Hunter is there. Whether people are fans or not, they want to watch them play. Whether people are fans or not, they want to see them lose. They want to see them win, depending on if you're a fan or not. And so it's really weird that people are getting all worked up about it. If you don't think Colorado is everyone's Super Bowl, in the sense that everyone really wants to beat the you know what out of Colorado, you're lying to yourself. Because if you're telling me that a team like Nebraska, this for instance, Colorado boat raced them last year, embarrassed them, right? Nebraska was supposed to be way better, favored by double digits, and Colorado beat them by, it was like 20 points, I believe. I think it was like 31-14, so 17ish points. I don't remember the final score, but they beat them by double digits. It was an ugly, ugly game, right? And so, what is the point of pretending like, oh, we don't care about Colorado, but this is sort of just a reach by Shilo Sanders. It's not a reach because he knows it's true, because everyone makes it true. Everyone watches Colorado because they care about them, right? So let's just be realistic about this. And just a second. And let me pause there. I had to sneeze, and it wasn't a pretty sneeze. Let me just tell you. I could feel it coming. It wasn't pretty. So what I'm saying is, if you don't want Colorado to think that they're everyone's Super Bowl, stop treating them like they are your Super Bowl. Stop getting so upset about everything they do. Stop watching their games. Stop watching the well-off media videos. Stop tweeting about them. Stop complaining about them. Stop everything. You are giving them that Super Bowl treatment, right? Like, it is what it is. Like, people who are upset about this are the same people who are watching their games, are the same people who are tweeting, why is Shilo Sanders ranked as the best quarterback in college football? Or why is Deion Sanders doing this? Or blah, blah, blah. Like, it's the truth. Everyone cares about Colorado in one way or another, whether you care about them as a fan or whether you care about them as someone who wants to watch them fail. You care about Colorado in some capacity. So, in essence, your caring makes them think that they're everyone's Super Bowl, because why wouldn't they? Everyone watches them play, everyone cares about the results, and when they're succeeding, they're the biggest story in sports, right? When they're failing, they're still the biggest story in college football. It is what it is. When you have a brand that big, it's hard to not be that popular. I hate to break it to you. Like, it is what it is. When you are popular, people are going to talk about you. People are going to treat you differently. When you're not popular, like, I'm not going to shade any programs, but when you are not as popular as a program, you don't get attention. Shocker, I know. It's really truly a revelation, I know. But Colorado, at the end of the day, everyone's Super Bowl, and it's not in the sense that, like, oh, this is like the Chiefs, right? Everyone wants to beat the Chiefs because they're the back-to-back champs. No, they're everyone's Super Bowl in the sense of, like, the Dallas Cowboys is everyone's Super Bowl in the NFL. I think that's a fair comparison at the moment. Or even Texas a few years ago when they were getting beat by Kansas, or they were finishing 5-7, right? Just because Texas is bad doesn't mean people don't care about beating them, right? Like, everyone gets up for playing Texas, right? That's just how it is. Everyone gets up for this version of Colorado, and it's going to stay that way until Deion Sanders is no longer there, which, according to him, is going to be for quite some time. So I just need everybody to kind of get off their pedestal, or get off their soapbox, and, like, just deal with it. Like, it's just a thing. They are popular. People care about them, whether you care about them or not. I mean, if you're talking about them, you care about them enough. So that's just how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the poison in the locker room. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But As the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Everydayers, you know who you are. You tune in every single day. You comment, you like, you share this, you subscribe, of course. I appreciate you, and I will never, ever, ever not appreciate you guys' support. Let's talk about Shilo Sanders and what he said at Big 12 Media Day. So there was a lot of things said at Big 12 Media Day about Colorado or regarding Colorado. And so it's one of those things where I think a lot of people, to an extent, feel like they know Colorado, right? It's like we see them all the time. They're on TV all the time. Like I just did on my whole first segment. They're popular. Everyone's watching them, right? They have the well-off media videos, and Deion Sanders is very outspoken, right? But it's like we still don't know them. Like we still don't know what's going on in the locker room, which you could probably say about most programs, unless you have behind the scenes access to a locker room, which few people do. It's like, what exactly went wrong last year? Well, in my eyes, and I'll get to Shiloh's point, excuse me, last season went wrong because they were mentally weak. It is what it is. As soon as they lost that Stanford game, that team was never the same. That team was a shell of themselves, and it was just atrocious. Like they just could not do anything productive after that Stanford game. And I think we learned three things from last season that Deion Sanders has at least tried to correct heading into this season. One, mental toughness. They're out here doing Navy SEAL and I think it's Navy SEAL Marine training. I believe it was. I don't want to. Love the boys, all the men and women that serve for us. Don't remember what training was. I think it was Navy SEAL or Marine training, right? So mentally tough, regardless of what branch the military was. They are doing military style training. It's intense. It's physically demanding. It's hard. It pushes you. Okay. That makes you mentally tough. Two, the team did not have good chemistry. Whether they want to admit it, whether Coach Prime wants to admit it or not, Travis Hunter said it in the Amazon documentary. Shilo Sanders said it in the quote yesterday. The team was not connected. So I think when Deion Sanders said he doesn't care about the culture or doesn't care about them liking each other, I think he may have realized that was wrong. And I do feel like there's more of an effort or more of an emphasis on everyone coming together. And then three, so we got mentally toughness, the lack of culture, the lack of continuity, and then just missed evaluations, right? They bring in all these players from the portal. They bring in the number one portal class in the country last season, and everyone's like, oh, wow, exciting, right? And I remember I was getting slandered. There was a few guys where I was high on, like Xavier Weaver. I said he would be the best receiver. But there was a few other guys where I was like, oh, this guy, possibly, maybe, right? And I was wrong on them. I was wrong on a few of them because they brought in 50 guys, and I would say about, I think I forget I should write the number down because I did go through the whole portal class, and I was like contributor, star, bust, or not bust, but didn't pan out, right? And there was a lot more guys who didn't pan out on that team than guys who were stars. So they did not evaluate well. And I think they really evaluated talent and more culture fit guys this season than they compared to last season, which is a good thing. So Shilo Sanders, talking to ESPN's Adam Rittenberg, said, as a team, you've got to be able to bond and can't have no hate toward each other. You can't have poison. We got rid of a lot of poison last year, and this year we're in a better space, clicking as a team, and we expect to win. Sanders said that players who were talking crap about Colorado, coaches, that kind of stuff, Sanders says he's talking about players who were talking crap about Colorado coaches and that kind of stuff. So realistically, yeah, I think they brought in a toxic locker room. It is what it is at this point because a lot of those guys are not there. But there's a reason every person in the portal is in the portal, right? There's guys who are there for NIL purposes. There's guys who are there for, like, they're at a group of 5 program and they want to transfer up. And then there's guys who are former highly touted recruits who didn't pan out. And so anytime someone didn't pan out, it's like, what went wrong? Right. And I think, and I'm not trying to single him out, but I think this is a good, I'll single two people out. And I think these are good examples. And it's nothing against those guys personally. It's just how their situations played out. Juwan Mitchell, right, goes to, I think it was start his career at Texas, then Tennessee, goes to Arizona State. He's kicked off the team after like a week for not being a culture fit. Then comes to Colorado and is shown on the documentary getting chewed out by Coach Prime for not being focused in the locker room before a game. He's on the phone talking to someone. I think he said he was talking to his aunt and she prays over him, but like he's doing his own thing. And I don't remember what episode, but I do remember it being well into the season. Like it wasn't like, oh, it's week 1. And not that I would ever think it's okay to be on the phone while the coach is talking. That's just me. But there's a sense of like, there wasn't like an understanding of like, oh, this is wrong, I'm going to do it. Right. Bishop Thomas, a guy from Florida State that they took a flyer on, and Coach Prime loved the kid. Like you could tell in the documentary, the Amazon Prime doc, Bishop Thomas, it reminded me of Last Chance U in the sense of like where they find these characters with interesting stories who are also supposed to be the best players. And Bishop Thomas was featured on that show, but he finished the year with like 5 tackles or something. Didn't pan out. Didn't have a good attitude. Was talking back to coaches. Did not really seem to have a grasp of what was expected of him. They needed him to go to class. They needed him to go to all these meetings. Wouldn't do it. And then I'm not saying that these are the guys that are causing the poison or like talking the you know what, but you have guys like Gavin Cole, the backup quarterback, who leaves the program and instantly slanders Shilo Sanders or instantly slanders the team. You have the running back, Kavasi Smoke, says people were selfish. You have all these guys who are no longer a part of the program, and some of them are publicly blasting the program. And it's like, okay, that guy was in the locker room pretending that we were all cool, right? So I think they needed to build the culture up. And I think this is another sign, Shilo Sanders' comments, that the culture is built up way more than it was last year. And I think that's probably an adjustment from Coach Prime. I think he probably put more of an emphasis on team building, right? This isn't the NFL. Whether people want to admit it or not, college football is not the NFL. There is a lot more camaraderie in college football than there is in the NFL. The NFL, it is a job, and these guys don't have to like each other. They don't. Deion Sanders himself said it. He played on teams where the quarterback and the receiver hated each other, but they made it work, right? College football, it's different. Like it just is. I don't know what the difference is. Like I can't conceptualize what the difference is, but you just know that in college you're around each other more. There's more of like a friendship, or there's more of a bond. Everyone has the same goal. For some of these guys, it's the last time they're going to play football. And in the NFL, it's like I'm playing for a contract, right? I'm playing for my legacy. In college football, it's like you're playing for the love of the game. Obviously, there's NIL stuff, so I'm not going to pretend like that's not there. But you're playing for the love of the game. You're playing to chase a dream still. In the NFL, you've reached that dream, and so it's like at that point, it's all personal. In college football, it should not be that way. It's like we are a team representing a program that a community loves. And we need to do that at the best of our ability. And so I think Colorado sounds like they're on the right track. I guess we'll find out this year. But I did think that was an interesting comment from Shilo, who whether people want to admit or not, because the Sanders family, they do say some things that turns a lot of heads. They are calculated. They don't say things just to say things. They don't do things just to do things. So clearly they're loving where the program is at the moment. When we come back, we are going to be talking about all of the comments that I found interesting at Big 12 Media Day. And I'm going to tell you what they mean to me. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I want to thank you guys for all the support. My everydayers, you know who you are. You tune in every single day. You comment, you share, you like, you subscribe. You support me. I appreciate you, and I want you guys to know that. Let's talk about Big 12 Media Day. Excuse me. Big 12 Media Day, Coach Prime's talking about, one, he's shown a lot of confidence in Brett Yormark, which I think Brett Yormark in terms of where Colorado came from in the Pac-12, where it was Larry Scott, George Kliavkoff, like Brett Yormark is a take action type of fella. He is not going to sit back and wait for things to happen. He is not going to sort of allow things to play out and then see what happens. He's aggressive. That's how the Big 12 still flow. If the Pac-12 was aggressive, the Big 12 would have died, I think, like 10 years ago, right? Texas and Oklahoma, there was a time, little story time here. There was a point where Texas and Oklahoma were down to go to the Pac-12. Pac-12 didn't capitalize on it. Imagine the Pac-12 with brands like Texas, Oklahoma, USC, Oregon. That is a brand that would rival. I'm not even joking. I think it would go up against SEC. Look at that. Look at what the Pac-12 was last year. Imagine Texas and Oklahoma being in there. Woof, if only we could have ever seen that. But Pac-12 didn't make a move, right? Big 12, they lose Texas and Oklahoma. They have teams looking for a way out, and Brett Yormark's like, "No, it's fine. I got this." Goes out, gets 4 programs. A group of 5 programs, albeit, but gets 4 programs, gets the conference sort of back to 12 teams. And then it's like, okay, now what? Right? Are we just going to sit here? The Pac-12 is struggling, but they should be able to expand. The Pac-12, all they had to do was, hey, literally shoot a text message to San Diego State and SMU that says, "Hey, you up?" And those two would have jumped to be in the Pac-12, but they didn't do that. So the Big 12 goes, you know what? Colorado, Utah, Arizona State, come on in. Let's dance. Come on. Let's have some fun, right? And so Big 12 Media Day. Coach Prime has to appreciate the aggressiveness. He's a businessman himself, Coach Prime is. So I think he appreciates Brett Yormark's approach to making sure the Big 12 is in the best position possible. Now, what that looks like in the future, I don't know, but I do know that Brett Yormark is going to exhaust all options. So that's one thing. Another thing, you guys, you fans, people who love to tell me I'm wrong, fans of Colorado. I don't know if you're fans of me. I would appreciate it if you are. I love everyone. You guys tell me no one cares about North Dakota State, right? Colorado's going to blow them out, right? Deion Sanders said, and he was joking, but behind every joke, there's a truth. And he said that he was mad at Rick George for scheduling North Dakota State. He said, and I quote, "I'm mad at Rick George, obviously, right now for putting them on the schedule to open up with them. Can you give me a layup?" Sanders joked. Obviously, he said in a joking manner, but there's truth behind that. Why would you want to start with a program who is a Power 5 killer? It's what they do. I mean, if Colorado wins, great. If they lose, oh, they can already see it now. It's going to be a disaster on social media. Not that that's what it matters, but the public perception is going to be brutal. It's going to be rough. So I thought that was interesting. And then I think the overall sort of vibes from Big 12 is like people were asking Coach Prime if there's pressure, and it's like they want him to say no, but it's like, yeah, there is. I think people keep trying to bait him into these random answers where it's like, what do you expect him to say? Like he knows, like he's not going to be like, yeah, I'm scared, but he knows that people are like looking for him to fail. And so I thought that was an interesting sort of theme of Big 12 Media Days. And then obviously you have Shador's Super Bowl comments. You have a lot of praise from other coaches about what Colorado brings to the conference. So really exciting college football season ahead of us. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, give me 5 stars. Share this with a friend. I appreciate all your guys' support. I will be back tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Buffs.